We welcome you to this edition of the Plate Meeting Podcast. And this is going to be our Close Call Sports Show of the Week. We're going to try to do these once a week for you. We'll see how they work out if Major League Baseball can cooperate. And first of all, before we get underway with the news of the week and also our play of the week and our very special guest, we'd like to talk to you about our sponsors. First, the OSIP Foundation. They're a 501c3 company. Are you experiencing anxiety when it comes to officiating? Why don't you give the people at OSIP a ring? That's osipfoundation.org, osipfoundation.org. They'll send you on the right path if you're experiencing anxiety in officiating. We'd also like to welcome our newest sponsor to the fold, and that is Out West Officials and outwestofficials.com. Close Call Sports, a great sponsorship for us and a great partnership, we hope. Get your exclusive gear and equipment at outwestofficials.com and use the coupon code CCS Free Ship, all caps. That's CCS Free Ship at checkout to get free shipping on your next order. From game card holders to chest protector harnesses, visit outwestofficials.com for your gear and apparel needs. And I'll tell you what a deal that is. Imagine just needing a lineup card holder or an indicator and getting that free shipping. That would be fantastic for those of you in the United States. And also, we'd like to welcome our special guest this week. It's Bob Davidson, friend of the program. Bob, how are you?
Well, good to hear you guys. And speaking of anxiety, I gave a lot of people anxiety over 30 years. There's no question about that. So,
well, here to take us away with the news of the week, and we've got one big story for you. Here's Gil Imber.
Yeah, what a story this is, tmac. This is the report that 14 members, players, coaches of the Miami Marlins have tested positive for COVID, more suspected cases throughout baseball. And they think because there were some Atlanta Braves that had flu-like or COVID-like symptoms, they think that they might have contracted that back at the I guess it would be the exhibition games, so to speak, when they had them on July 21st, 22nd, before the season started. During the exhibitions, the Marlins and the Braves also had, and we don't talk about the umpires, but that's exactly what we're going to talk about because this is an umpire show. The umpires that were involved in that series. Specifically, they named Marlins catcher Jorge Alfaro as one of the positives, and there were more suspected. And we look at July 22nd specifically. On July 22nd, Alfaro was working right in front of plate umpire Marvin Hudson. Lo and behold, Marvin Hudson was actually held out by MLB or otherwise. He was supposed to work the Angels-A's series, but he was held out from appearing on opening day. He didn't work the first 2 days of the season because of precautions related to that. Carlos Torres came in after Hudson on July 22nd, worked behind Alfaro for about an inning, and then Alfaro got substituted out of the game for Chad Wallach. Torres, meanwhile, went to New York, if you want to take the crew as a whole, because, again, the Braves and the Marlins were interacting and had games for multiple days that week. The crew as a whole, in addition to Hudson and Torres, were Dan Asanya, Mike Estabrook, Paul Nart. So we had a crew, and, this is how contact tracing becomes so difficult, because what happened to everyone who was on this crew? And you look at it, and everyone who was on this crew were assigned. Hudson went to Oakland with Adam Hammery, Brian Knight, Mike Malinsky. Tom Woodring filled in for Hudson those first days. Isanya went to Royals Indians. He had Fletcher, Trip Gibson, and Ben May. Torres and Nart, same crew in New York, NL. So they had the Mets series with Addison and Fairchild. Estabrook wasn't on the field. Was he in replay? I don't know. But you're looking at 14 umpires to contact trace at that point. If Estabrook was in replay, that's 21. Plus you have the 4 umpires that have actually officiated the Marlins-Philly series, which were Blakeney, Ortiz, Rayburn, and Timmons. So potentially 25 officials to contact trace. This is tough stuff, Tim.
Well, before we bring Bob on board for his opinions on some of this COVID stuff, let me just give a hot take here for a second. I got to give Major League Baseball a lot of credit for what they did with Marvin Hudson. I mean, they kept him out off the field. He had no positive tests. And this is what should have been done, in my opinion, for Carlos Torres as well. Even though it's only an inning, it only takes a couple of seconds to get COVID. It's not like it waits around and says, okay, you've been here for an hour. Okay, now you're okay. And that's the issue. I have the other issue that I have is that I talked about this with you on Saturday. I wanted to do this show on Saturday. You know this because I was predicting this is going to be a disaster. I don't like being right, but we have 14 people that have tested positive in that clubhouse now, all because the game was played for no reason. They should have just said, okay, we've got a problem. We clearly have a catcher that's tested positive. He's been around a lot of people. Let's shut it down, at least those two teams, for a couple days, and let's get everything on hold. Instead, if I'm the Major League Baseball Players Association, I'm losing it right now. But from an umpire standpoint, if I'm Marvin Hudson, I've got to be pretty happy with what they did in putting my safety first. And Bob, if you were an umpire at Major League Baseball right now, and I know you know a lot of these guys, you'd have to be pretty, pleased with how they treated Marvin Hudson in putting his safety first.
Well, no question, tmac and Gil. Yeah, they and usually it's not that way. Umpires are usually not the first thought. But I had spoke to Jim Joyce yesterday, and he's very good friends with Marvin, and Marvin's fine, and I'm certainly glad they did that with him, and they should have done it with was it Ortiz, the other umpire? You said
Carlos Torres.
Torres. Okay, yeah, they should have done it with him also, and this whole thing, keeping track of who you run into, who you sit next to. It seems like it's a thankless job. Who's ever going to get stuck with that? It's I know they're going with cell phones and all that stuff, but I'll tell you what, it's what you said is true. The virus has. You could be there for 5 minutes or 5 hours. This is just the weirdest time I've ever seen in my life.
Bob, you were known for your devil may care attitude and just kind of going with the flow and always being, always smiling. And I just can't imagine Bob Davidson walking in with his jeans and his Hawaiian shirt and being told, hey, by the way, here's your sack lunch. You got to drive this car back to the hotel and stay there for the next 15 hours. How do you expect an umpire or anybody to do that? That's got to be a tough ask, no?
Well, it is tough. And, if I was still working, I would not have worked this year. I would have done what Jerry Lane, Mike Winters, and those other fellas did. And I'm, I have a lot of concern for Joe West. He's a very close friend of mine, and, he's going to break that record. And I know that's probably he wants to get it over with, but I worry about him, and I read some of the things he said, and it just seemed like he just seemed like he was kind of poo-pooing it, and he just I worry about him. I just hope he plays it smart.
Well, the one good thing is that when it came through New York, we weren't prepared for it. Now I think a lot of places are more prepared for it. It's still hurting families and devastating lives, but at least there's more people prepared for it. That being said, should there be baseball being played? I think everybody knows my opinion on this, but it does make for some interesting discussions. I just want everybody to be safe, and I hope everybody's okay and gets through this wherever you are.
Well, these games are being played for one reason, and that's the bottom line. And so that's why these games are being played. And I just hope that I agree with what you say. I hope safety is on everyone's mind first, especially Rob Manfred. Hopefully he'll take the players and the umpire safety and all the other people that are around the ballpark that have to work there, and clubhouse personnel and everything. So I just hope it all ends well, and hope they can get this league, this season in, and get going and worry about next year.
Gil, do you have more on this, or shall we go to topic 2?
Yeah, the one thing that Joe West did say, and it was buried within the nuance and in some of the other claims that he had made, was that his biggest concern is the players walking around. They're young, they're healthy, they're probably going to be okay, but they're asymptomatic and they could be spreading this virus. Incubation is anywhere, according to CDC, and they don't even know yet, potentially between 2 and 14 days. Well, 2 days after July 21st, 22nd, that's start of the regular season. We're not at the 14-day mark. This is some pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Let's get to some less heavy stuff. Let's talk about two good things that happened on the field this week. And our first one happened in Cincinnati, where, Bob, you know what happens in the National League. We've got the DH now. I mean, the whole world's flipping over.
I know. And Vanover handled that perfectly.
So we have a situation where in Cincinnati, Lorenzen comes in. He's the pitcher in the game, and he pinch runs after a hit by pitch at first, for the runner at first base, and the whole world exploded. I got messages on this. Do you see what Chris Conroy did? He messed up. We're gonna have big problems. And I go, oh, what? Oh, okay. What happened? He let the pitcher run for the DH. Oh, okay. Was the pitcher removed from the game? No. Well, what's the problem? Well, apparently there are a lot of people in this world that think this isn't legal. Bob, we'll let you take it from here.
Well, it's a very remote rule. I mean, I think you probably got to forgive people for not knowing it. But, once the pitcher is in the game and he's either batted or has pitched, then he, I guess if he batted, they wouldn't have a DH. But as long as he had already been in the game, he can then take the place of the designated hitter, either at bat or, as he did yesterday, he pinch ran. So, the umpires were correct, and it's a rule that you certainly don't see every day. That's for sure.
I want to talk to you about another thing that happened, and we kind of lost focus of it because of this situation with the play in Cincinnati. But it's been a point of emphasis the last couple of years in college baseball, and it just happened that Mark Gribbinger had a great call the day before with a lean-in. That's got to be a call that you love to see, an umpire making an unusual call, and we're talking about the Torey Lovello situation. You got to be proud of a young umpire making a call like that, Bob. That's right out of your playbook.
I remember I called that once in Montreal, and I threw out Philippe Lou and a couple other guys, and then I did it in Milwaukee, and I threw out Gary Renicky. So, I mean, I was 2 for 2 with ejections with that call. But I saw that replay of it. And, Rip was right on it. And you could see the hitter kind of lean his forearm and into it. And it was the correct call and a very good call. So, and that's something, when we have our meetings in Arizona before the season. Now, I haven't been to the last 4 of them, but that play always comes up, and it's always talked about, and it's the league office wants it called. So that was a good job by Ripperger, no question.
And it's one that's really hard, especially you get these great 12-6 breaking balls, tough, hard slider, and you're focused, and it's not something you're looking for. It takes great instincts for an umpire to make that call. And we're going to end this week with some more great instincts. John Lipka, what a call this was at second base on a steal play. So we have a steal at second base, and Elvis Andrus is trying to take a bag. And let's take a look at this play at second base in real time. Holy Toledo, the tag on the inner side of, I believe, the calf. And he gets the call right, Bob. Great call by young John Lipka.
Yeah, I happened to be watching that was the Rockies in Texas. I was watching that game because my wife's out of town and I have control over my remote now. But I'd never met Lipka to my knowledge, but I know I watched a couple of his games last year, and he's going to be a good one. And I thought he made an absolute correct call, and replay bared it out. So it was good for him.
One of the things that we've talked about on prior podcasts, Bob, is walking through steal plays, walking through plays. And this is not something that they teach at the college level, but in this play where the angle closes down due to the fielder getting your angle, not a bad idea to take a read follow step. And he does that and gets a keyhole view wide open and makes the right call. I love that. I know the supervisors may not like it, but I love that this kid has the instincts to get this call right. I've been on John Lipka for 2 years now. I think he's an MLB umpire full-time in the future, and I hope that the brass see it the same way.
Well, I agree. I think he's going to be – he is a good umpire, and I think he's going to be on the staff.
Real quick, who wins the NHL bubble tournament in Canada?
Well, who do you think? Your Colorado Avalanche.
You mean unlike my Devils and Gil's Anaheim Ducks, although Gil's getting paid by that team. You guys are actually playing still.
Yeah, well, the Anaheim Ducks. I got to go to a couple games there a bunch of years ago at the Pond, and that's a great place to watch hockey, and the fans are really into it there. I mean, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I hope we get back to it soon. And some good news from the NHL, unlike baseball that has what it's going on. Hockey, as we know, is in the bubble in Canada, and NHL just possibly by coincidence released their weekly test statistics report, 800 some odd players.
They're sticking the knife in.
However many tests and specimens that was, 0 positives. So good news for them.
Yeah, that they love sending that.
If I could say one more thing, I know tmac, about last week we lost Rick Reed, and Rick Reed was a good friend of mine, and it's just his last 2 years with the strokes and everything have been miserable for him, obviously, and for his wife Cindy, and just want to hope he rests in peace. And he was a damn good umpire who probably didn't get what he should have got. He didn't as far as postseason and things. And but he was a top-notch guy. And you talk about hockey fans. He was a big Detroit Red Wings fan, and whenever the Red Wings played the Colorado Avalanche, we always had a war. I mean, we were on the phone most of the time saying, "Oh, look at that hit! Oh, look at that hit! Oh, that." It was just fun. I mean, he just was a very knowledgeable hockey guy. He was he was a great dude. He really was, and he will be missed.
Toughest? You think he's the toughest umpire that's worked in the last 50 years of Major League Baseball? I mean, you think 2 strokes and he's coming back to umpire? I heard a story from a guy who said that guy got blasted in the mask twice in the first 2 innings, refused to leave the game. I mean, now you have to leave, but you talk about one tough guy that he would not leave a game to save his, for any reason. I give him a lot of credit for being as hard as he was out there to come back from what he did. Bob is just
no question. Yeah, no question, tmac. He was a tough guy, and he called it Michigan tough, and but he was, and he was a good solid umpire, and he was a good crew chief. I got to work with him, when he was a crew chief, only about a month, but it was fun. I mean, he was a good guy to work for, a very fair guy, and he was a great partner, no question.
Well, we're going to do this every Monday as we break the news and talk about our play of the week and so much more. And we'll have some special guests for you. Bob, we cannot thank you enough for being not only the first guest of the podcast, but the first guest of our weekly program.
Well, maybe next time you can have it less hectic trying to get on that 800 number. So
No, you were calling a 1-900 number, Bob. It was way, way off.
Oh, that's why I got pizza coming at the door.
Bob, we love you. Thanks a lot. We'll see you. And for everybody.
Hey, Gil, all the best to you.
You too, Bob. And good luck to your apps the rest of the way.
All right, and the barber shop should be open tomorrow, Gil. So you can sit over there.
not in California.
Okay. Take care, guys. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure, and it's our pleasure to have you guys at home, sitting by your computers, your phones, or wherever, tuning us in for a few minutes. We thank you so much for watching. Until next week, for Gil Ember and Bob Davidson, I'm Tim McCaffrey. Happy umpiring, everyone.